Welcome to this fourth video in the Resilience Toolkit series. I'm Jonathan Schauder and the Change Agent Network. I'm looking forward to taking you through this last installment of the Resilience Toolkit series. This video series is focused on a tool called the 5 Ps. In video 1, we used it as a certainty tool. In video 2, we used it as a communications tool. In video 3, we used it as a stakeholder engagement tool. And now in video 4, we're going to be using it as a time, life, and planning tool, bringing all the pieces of the picture together. We'll also be using it for a range of other applications. So resilience and time management is all about monkey management, the notion of the monkey as being the next step. You can see on this slide a very famous cartoon that appeared in the New York Times and was underpinned by the byline of "Phil realized he'd taken on everyone else's monkeys." What does the word monkeys mean? Well, monkeys is the next step and determining who needs to take the next step in a particular task, in a particular conversation, or in a particular project. It's a fundamental resilience idea that you have to be in control of your own monkeys. Otherwise, we can all get overwhelmed, both personally and professionally. So what's the big message? Well, the big message is going to be don't steal monkeys. And certainly don't create unnecessary monkeys as we go. You have to know which monkeys are yours and you have to deliver them properly. But the monkeys that aren't yours have to be given back to their proper owners. I can understand that the question that would come into your head is, well, how do I know if the next step in a particular process is mine, whether the next task in a particular project is mine, or whether I really need to worry about a particular thing that's going on? Well, I'm glad you asked, because that leads to time management and understanding how to distinguish between your monkeys and the monkeys of others. On page 50 of your Stress Intelligence book, you'll find the updated time matrix for 2020. It takes ideas like those of Stephen Covey, using ideas of urgent and important, and tries to make the usage and framework far simpler and far more practical for the lives that we lead in the current day. The two axes that you'll see on this slide are who needs to do the task and when do they need to do the task. And in those two questions, you create a 2x2 matrix that makes a whole lot of sense in untangling and therefore creating resilience in your to-do list. Who should do it? Well, the first question is, do I add significant value in doing the task? If I add significant value in doing the task, then it's my monkey and I must do it. Of course, if I don't add significant value in doing the task, then we can put the task in quadrant 3, where I can delegate it to someone else or a third party. Even if I don't have a third party, at least it's important to know that the task is delegatable, should I want to create time in future. Across the top of the matrix, you'll see that the second axis is when. This is all to do with consequences of deadlines. If there are negative consequences of missing a deadline that I cannot avoid, then the task is urgent and I have to do it now. If, however, the consequences can be managed, renegotiated, rescheduled, or avoided altogether, then perhaps I can do the task later. In doing this, we create 4 quadrants: the do it now, the diarise it, the delegate it, or the delegate it in the long term. One of the reasons people don't delegate tasks is because they feel it's going to be more work to delegate than it is to actually just do myself. And as a consequence, they don't delegate at all. Covered in monkeys, we end up in an unresilient space, an overwhelmed, uncertain, and unplanned territory. So what I want to give you is a delegation checklist, because delegation should be straightforward, creating certainty for yourself and for others. And it won't surprise you that the delegation toolkit I'm going to give you is, of course, the 5 Ps. We've been talking about that all the way through this video series. It is the master tool for resilience and certainty. And again, it's going to be used here, as it will for many other applications that we're going to go through in this video, to make sure that everyone's really on the same page about what's expected and that what is delivered matches that expectation. Have a look at the delegation checklist on this slide and read through it for yourself. But of course, in summary, the notion is that when I hand over a task, I should be clear on its purpose. I should be clear what the product I'm expecting will look like. I should be clear what process steps should be taken and which people should be involved and to do what roles.
And then, of course, I should provide any previous learning to the person I'm delegating it to make that task as easy as possible, as well as set up review points to make sure that my supervision is under control.
Take your current to-do list and break it down into the 4 quadrants. The aim of the exercise that I'm giving you right now is to see if you can find at least one task that you can delegate, and perhaps at least another task that perhaps you can reschedule. Make your life easier, become more resilient.
Great, thanks for having a go at that exercise. Where we're left is the tasks that really have to be done in quadrant 1, the do-it tasks. So what do we do with those tasks to make sure that our life is as resilient and as managed as possible? Well, the first thing we have to do is prioritize those tasks. This is where vision comes back into play. You'll always do tasks first that are most important in regard to delivering on your overall vision. The tasks that have less connection to your vision will be deprioritized as a matter of course. If this is a time for family, then that of course will be the prioritized set of tasks. If this is a time for work, that will be the prioritized set of tasks. The main thing is that everyone around us who understands the situation we find ourselves in also understands the way that we're going to prioritize so they can stay with us on the journey.
So now we come to streamlining. You've got the tasks in order of priority, but now you need to make sure that you're doing them as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Well, to do that, we're going to use the 5 Ps again. I'm really sorry, but it's that kind of versatile tool. There are 2 types of tasks in your to-do list box, your do it now box. There are the routine tasks and there are the non-routine tasks. In both cases, we need to take a 5 Ps to those tasks to ask ourselves, can we cut the time we're spending on them by 20%? Perhaps the purpose can be reduced by 20%, perhaps the product can be reduced by 20%, perhaps the process can be reduced by 20%, perhaps the preparation can be reduced by 20%, or 20% less people are involved. Just as an example, the report that used to be 5 pages could now be done in 4. The report that required 5 people to be involved now only requires 4. The purpose used to be wide and expansive, now it's more narrowed and focused. And of course the process, which used to involve 5 steps, now involves 4 steps. In doing so, what I'm looking to do is literally create time in my life by taking 5 days of work down to 4.
If we take this back to our personal life, we now have to make sure that we are thinking about resilience as knowing where we're going personally and feeling confident that all the pieces of that journey fit together well. To do that, we need to understand a concept called key success factors, or KSFs as they're known, which is where you take the key elements of your life and note them down. Now, we all have health, wealth, family, and career as key success factors, but perhaps in your life you've got additional key factors. This is very important because it helps to conceptualize our life. For each of those factors, we need a clear vision. And you do that by asking yourself a very simple question, which is, I will be successful in that area if, by a certain date, I have achieved what?
So now we can draw up a life plan. The key success factors go at the top of the page, where they form the purpose line of your 5 Ps for your life plan. Your answer to the question of, I will be successful if, goes at the bottom of each of the key success factors to form the product that we're going to achieve in the time that we have. We can then see that month 1, 2, and 3 is the process lines, so that we can work out the steps and the people involved in getting us from our purpose to our product. And the whole thing, of course, is preparation that we can share with other people to align our stakeholders, our partners, our families in those adventures. Have a quick look at this completed life plan, where we've got the key success factors at the top, the goals at the bottom, and the steps along the way. To lose some weight, we're going to do some Zumba, and to create an eating plan. To get our credit cards under control in month 2, we're going to go and talk to the bank manager. To make sure that we are spending more time with our partner, we're going to do some morning rituals with them, as well as getting some concert tickets later in the 2nd month. And in month 3, we'll start planning the Japan trip.
Why don't you take a second in your journal to see if you can sketch up your own life plan? As a final note, I wanted to pause on the notion of ritual and gratitude. Ritual is events and activities that we put in our lives that are constant, that that are routine, that are predictable, and connect us with things that are important to ourselves, like our family, like our spirituality, like our health. Gratitude also plays into our resilience toolkit, which is the notion that in that moment between stimulus and response, we can be overwhelmed by the negative, and there is a great skill in pausing on the positive, even if the only positive we can think of is that in this moment and in this time and in this place, I am okay. I can hear my own breath, I can think my own thoughts, I can create my own meaning, and I can go back to my toolkit to make sure that everything in my life is as resilient as I can possibly make it.
Well, thank you for completing this 4-part series on building your resilience toolkit with me, Jonathan Schauder, and the Change Agent Network. I hope you've got a lot out of the series. You've got your exercise journal to complete, and you've got your toolkit in the pack that your workplace has given you. And I wish you every success on controlling what you can, accepting what you can't, and having the wisdom to know the difference using the 5 Ps. Look forward to joining you on other topics like leadership, negotiation, problem solving, conflict resolution, and communication in the future. But for now, best of luck.